We're now joined by the Canucks goaltender, Thatcher Demko. Thatcher, thanks so much for doing this with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know it's been a bit of a wild ride since you got into the league, given the last, 18 months or so in the world. But does it feel like the season just ended, or are you already kind of raring to go again? Or maybe a little bit of both?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. You know, it was tough not making the playoffs last year, so a little bit of a longer summer for us, and it took some time to reflect, and took the time to get the body right and get a little bit of strength behind me, and just make sure I'm ready for camp. So I think all the guys are ready to get going here.
I know you personally got the contract settled in March, but how big was it for you to know that you'd be a big part of this team moving forward?
Yeah, it was a huge honor to get that done. I wasn't thinking about it too much during the season last year, and during our 6-day break, it kind of came to fruition. So really happy to get it done and get it out of the way so I could focus on the rest of the year, and gave me some peace of mind this summer and a lot of motivation to come back into camp and prove that it was a good deal for everyone involved. And I'm really excited to get to work here.
All right, let's talk about that season. From the outside looking in, this feels like a big year for you and a pretty young team. Do you guys feel like you're ready to take that next step?
Yeah, I do. I think we made the playoffs 2 years ago, and had a decent run there in the bubble, and I think we want to prove to everyone that last year was a one-off, and get back into the playoffs this year. We have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. Coming out of last year, obviously it was a disappointing year for our group, and we just want to come back this year and prove to people that we can be a playoff team and that we will be.
You have a new partner in crime with Jaroslav Halak coming in. Like, how much do you know about him? How much have you guys got in contact? Like, how does a relationship like that work and grow?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went through a similar situation with Braden Holtby last year, and he was an awesome goalie partner. I learned a ton from him on and off the ice. He was just a great guy for me to look up to, and this year with Halak coming in, I was able to get his phone number and text him, a handful of weeks ago, and then he actually got into town back in Vancouver last week. So I met him, and we've been in the gym together a little bit, just chatting, getting to know each other. And I think when I get back to Van here, we'll be on the ice together and skating with our goalie coach Ian Clark. So I think that relationship will kind of start to formulate itself over the next couple weeks.
Nice. Speaking of a contract, a lot of folks in Vancouver obviously wondering about Elias Pettersson's future. And I'm not going to ask you about his negotiations, so don't worry. But have you reached out to him? Like, do you guys make sure that he's still in the WhatsApp conversation? Like, how do you bridge the gap when a guy's in a spot like this?
At the end of the day, we're friends. The business side of things will kind of take care of itself. It's a situation where that's just kind of what comes with the territory, and whatever's going on, that's between him and the team. And I think the whole hockey world, all their eyes are on him right now, so I don't think he needs me texting him, checking in too, and adding an extra pair. So whenever he decides to reach out, or if they get the deal done and he comes to camp, everyone will be excited to see him and get to work.
I know you guys got to deal with jackasses like me asking about it. How do you avoid it becoming a distraction?
I mean, my job stays the same. It's I still got to do the same thing when I come into camp. I got to compete and make sure that I'm in the right spot heading into the season, and taking care of my job. So if I start worrying about something else like that, it might take away from what I got to do.
Very good answer. I know the North was some fun for the fans, the trash talk between the fans, but the schedule obviously pretty hectic at times. Are you glad to be back in the Pacific for this year? Like, is that a good thing for you guys?
Yeah, I think so. It's last year, it was a little bit of a weird year, just playing the same teams over and over. And, I think being able to travel this year, and, for me, I'm from San Diego, so, being able to go back to Anaheim and LA and maybe see some family sprinkled in will be awesome, having not seen them during the hockey season last year. So I think some travel will keep things a little bit more fresh for us as a group, and add a little bit more excitement.
Yeah, you forget about that, right? Like, team bonding happens a lot on road trips, and over the pandemic, that's been tough.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, as far as the league protocol went, we weren't supposed to technically go out to dinner and, go to each other's rooms to hang out, or they had certain protocols that were put in place on the plane as well. So it just felt like a weird year last year, I think, all around, and getting back into a little bit of normalcy this year will be awesome.
All right, speaking of that, I don't know how many will be allowed in, and I guess it depends on where you're playing, but will it be nice to get some fans back in for the games?
Yeah, it's going to be a weird feeling. I think the first couple, just getting our feet back under us with some bodies in the stands, but yeah, it'll be awesome. We've been craving that for a long time now, since the playoffs and the bubble, and just feels a little weird, a little quiet, and I think this year it'll definitely add some excitement, give you some adrenaline for those games, especially down the stretch. In the games you're a little tired, and you kind of feed off the crowd a little bit. I think we missed that last year, so this should be awesome. Even as a goalie, like I played out in hockey, but I played keeper in soccer, and I know that got to be a little bit of a different breed, and I wondered if this silence would actually help a goalie in that moment, like having a little bit of time to kind of focus in. Does that help you, or do you feed off a crowd? To be honest, people ask me that all the time, and once you get into a certain mindset on the ice, I find that I don't really notice it one way or another.
Right, so, you don't see anything.
No, I mean, I think, it obviously can dictate kind of the momentum of the game at times, and, the ebbs and flows, being on the road, being at home. I think that's going to be the biggest key for, the fans coming back.
Awesome. Hey, with the announcement the NHLers are going back to the Olympics, more than a few folks have you in the mix for the American team. Is that something that excites you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an incredible opportunity, just to be considered. So, playing for my country is something that I've always taken pride in. I try to go every single time that they ask. You aren't sure how many times you're going to be able to put that sweater on in your career. So, the Olympics, it's the biggest stage in the world, So if I get that chance, I definitely won't be passing that up.
My mom's going to be pissed at my manners here. Priorities. Congrats on the engagement this summer. Big news in the Demko family.
Yeah, that was a little bit stressful at times, trying to make sure everything was on track, and, trying to keep a secret. It was tough keeping a secret from the old lady. She's on top of me. She kind of sniffed it out a little bit, but yeah, it was a great time, getting the families together and, celebrating. It was a blast. Awesome.
The future miss is also a pretty damn good goalie. Backstopped the University of North Dakota for 4 years. Do you guys ever talk goal? Like, do you ever get home and she's like, "You need to work on your post-play exits. Like, we need to get down." Like, how does that work?
Yeah. No. There's not a lot of goalie talk in the house. I mean, the only big benefit I think from that is just she kind of understands, like, after a bad game, I'm not going to be the most talkative, or I might need to have some alone time and just be pissed off on my own after a game, but I don't have to explain myself to her in those situations, because she's been through it a few times, growing up playing, and then obviously going to play at school.
That's awesome. I was thinking the exact same thing, like just having the mindset conversation as opposed to the actual ins and outs of the game, having someone understand where you're at. Awesome stuff. Hey, thanks so much for jumping on with us, and best of luck this year. Really appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.